All right, guys, we are back. This is K-Talk Radio, 1640 AM. This is the show Utah Home Sweet Home. We are listening to war stories, legal war stories. And if you're just tuning in, you really missed a phenomenal story, good learning experience. If you're a buyer, if you're a seller, any way you look at it, there's definitely a lot of lessons to be learned. Definitely go to UtahHomesweetHome.com, our website. Scroll down to the bottom, click on the YouTube link. We post all our shows there, so you'll be able to rewatch or re-listen to this show if you've missed it. So, Jeff, thank you. We are back, and we've got some more stories now.
We got more stories. Yeah, so this one is a similar kind of setup.
Okay.
So this is a good story for retail buyers, retail sellers, agents, kind of a general real estate population. This was an investor post-rehab flip, but it really had nothing to do with the house itself.
Gotcha.
So the client listed the house on the multiple listing service, MLS.
Okay.
It was a flag lot, which is an unusual lot kind of to begin with. But the problem came down to a boundary line issue. And boundary lines kind of generally are huge. They're probably throughout the United States, I would have to imagine.
Yeah.
It's particularly, but and I don't work in other states, but I do know Utah really, really well.
Yeah.
And you're going to find boundary line problems everywhere. Because what happens is, there's the legal description of the property, the legal boundaries that are done by surveyors and the little, cameras and whatnot.
Yes.
But then over time, people put up fences or hedges or other structures on the property.
Right.
And their fences almost certainly do not line up with the actual boundary line, the legal line of description.
Right.
And so, it's very common when you buy a house and you get to title.
Yeah.
And what you receive is called the property report,
yes.
the title commitment. And on that property report, it lists things about the house like liens and stuff like that.
Right.
But what you also get is a survey map, a plat map.
Yes.
Nobody looks at the plat map. They don't.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many clients say, read your plat maps, look at the plat maps, and take it out to the property and start examining it, because the plat map will they can be tough to read, but they will show you the legal boundaries.
Got it.
And and it does have some measurements depending on how good the plat map is.
Gotcha.
And you may be able to look at that map and then look at where fences are, hedges, and driveways. I mean, I've been cases where people have actually poured concrete driveways.
Yes.
And encroached on their neighbor's property line.
Wow.
And then neighbors come back and say, no, you've got to cut out your driveway.
Yeah.
So boundary line and boundary line disputes are rampant.
Wow.
Most people just sort of ignore them.
Yeah.
And there is something in Utah called the boundary acquiescence doctrine.
Gotcha.
Which means if somebody puts up a fence or a hedge or a building or structure or something that either goes over the boundary line of the neighbors or even is inside.
Yeah.
And after 20 years,
yeah.
if nobody really challenges that as the actual boundary between the two lots,
yeah.
that fence then becomes the actual legal boundary.
Wow.
And you've either lost land or gained land.
Yeah.
Depending.
Dude, how did they prove 20 years though?
It's tough. It is a fact-based analysis. You have to, if you can
show a receipt,
Google photos, testimony from neighbors of how long the fence has been there,
gotcha.
Things of that nature. Maybe old photos of
the
people that lived there before, parties in the backyard, whatever.
Sure.
So it is real, and that's why usually people just ignore this.
Mm-hmm.
But on occasion, you get someone who buys a house and goes, "Guess what, neighbor? Your fence is on my land. You have to move your fence."
Got it.
And they can make you move that fence.
Oh, wow.
If you can't prove that it's been about the new boundary by acquiescence.
Oh my gosh.
And if it's something you just put up, you are taking that fence down. And it happens a lot.
Wow.
It happens a lot where people have to remove fences, remove garages, break up concrete, because what they thought was their land really wasn't.
Got it.
I always recommend, if there's any situation where you think the boundary line or fencing or something might be an issue, might be an issue, get a surveyor out there.
Got it.
Pay the extra, have a survey, and actually, because a property inspector is not going to do a boundary line survey. Right. So you need somebody else to actually do the survey and tell you where, and they'll mark off where the legal boundaries are, and you can make that determination.
Got it.
But I've seen cases where like a new person moved into the neighborhood, and then wanted my client to tear down the fence that had been there for 40 years. Because he wanted an extra foot of land.
Right.
Whatever. So anyways, back to the kind of the case. The house is listed on the MLS, which is, again, I say that because remember on that MLS it says buyer to verify all information.
Yes.
And they went to a title company.
Yep.
So they obviously got the property report and that plat map.
Yep.
Okay, and they didn't do anything with it. They bought the house. Then right after they bought it, they canceled the contract. They didn't buy it. They canceled the contract because they found out about this boundary line, but after the inspection period.
Okay.
So they canceled their contract, and they had a $2,000 earnest money, and they made a demand on my client to pay the $2,000 to give the earnest money back based on cancellation of contract.
Got it.
But this was long after the due diligence period, past their appraisal. In fact, they did it. They canceled like the day of closing.
Oh my god.
They never show up and close. And I think my client did actually show up and close his side of the deal. And so he's like, no, I'm not giving them their earnest money back.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's no reason to.
Yeah.
They were arguing that it was something he failed to disclose. Okay, and you laugh, right?
Yeah.
And again, and they got a lawyer.
Yeah.
And this went on for 3 months back and forth with this lawyer.
Wow.
Okay, he was very slow to respond. I would respond usually within a day, and it would take 3 weeks to get back.
Right.
And there are a lot of bad lawyers out there, FYI.
Sure.
And so he calls up and he says, I have the listing agreement. The listing doesn't say anything about this boundary thing. And my clients really wanted the house. They didn't want to cancel the contract, but they really wanted it because it's close to tracks. It was their dream home. It was perfect for work, perfect for their family. But with this boundary thing, they just didn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
And I said, well, they had to. Then that was their agent's fault.
Yeah.
And their fault for not hiring a surveyor, for not looking at the plat map, for not making this decision within their due diligence period. They're not getting their earnest money back.
Yeah.
And he kept, I already know they're gonna, you didn't. I'm like, no, I know this.
Yeah.
It's not something we need to disclose, and we didn't even know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not relevant to the seller.
Exactly.
And it's the buyer's obligation to inspect the house and make a determination and cancel the contract or not.
Right.
And then he went, well, what about $1,000? And I said, no, I'm not. And then after about 3 months, I said, I said, we're walking away. I'm not talking to you anymore.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't owe you anything. So if I have to have one more conversation with you, I'm countersuing you.
Got it.
Right?
Yeah.
In other words, because under the purchase contract,
Yeah.
you can recoup legal fees in litigation.
Gotcha.
Right? We weren't in mediation or anything like that, but there is some basis that if my client has to defend himself, he can recoup his legal fees.
Got it.
And so I said, we'll counsel you, we'll take you to court.
Yeah.
And I will recoup my legal fees because we're tired of this.
Right.
And then his last response was, well, because I think it would go a long way if your client, my clients just kind of sat down and your client apologized, that would make them feel a lot better. And I think I had to turn my phone on mute while I laughed.
Right.
I mean, I did.
Right.
I just didn't know what to respond to this.
Right.
I mean, I do kind of get the whole idea of just,
Yeah.
The buyers knew that they were wrong and they were getting their money back, but he's trying to get them something. To make them feel better. And I was like, and then I'm like, dude, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
My client's not gonna sit in a room
And
waste his
apologize.
time where he has a very high hourly rate
Yeah.
to come to make your clients feel good, better that they didn't hire a good enough real estate agent or a good enough inspector and they didn't do their job.
Right. Right.
It's
Didn't
not
get a
gonna
survey. Didn't do the due diligence in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not my problem.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's the reason I like that story is that ending. At the end of the day, what the attorney was really asking for was an apology for something that we never did wrong in the first place.
Right. Right.